you want to start?
Do I want to start by saying that my dad can beat up your dad?
I think my dad can beat up your dad.
No way. Look, okay, I got this awesome elf. She's a queen of the elves. She's the best. Number one dad that they can be.
Look, if we're going for creatures, you know what's an even better dad than elves? Fucking goblins. My dad can beat up your dad.
No way. Okay, my dad gets bigger, okay, with all the friends they get.
My dad doubles his friends every turn.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to find out, okay?
Alright, I think my dad can beat up your dad, though.
I think my dad can definitely beat your dad any day of the week.
Hi, hello, and welcome to My Dad Can Beat Up Your Dad, a Magic the Gathering podcast. My name is Bugs.
And I'm Benny.
And we're gonna talk about how my dad can beat up your dad.
But really, it's gonna be all about how my dad can beat up her dad. But you know, we'll get to that. You know.
So Benny, why don't you do you want to just jump right into your dad?
Oh, of course, yeah. So I play like an absolute goblin. I like being selfish. Like I'm a very selfish Magic the Gathering player. And not only do I like to be the center of attention, especially in Commander, but I also really love just like not having to worry about what other people's decks do and like just kind of doing my own thing and doing it really well. So whenever I build a deck in Commander, it usually does one of two things. Either it does its own self-contained thing and it's just this engine that produces or does one thing really, really well, or it's a deck that stops other people from playing their game, right? So one of those two things is happening. In this deck, it's the engine. Like, I was just like, honestly, the root of this, like, the root inspiration was, like, I genuinely just like producing mana, and I was kind of, like, doing this challenge of, like, how much mana could I produce, right? How much mana would it be possible to produce? And so, not only do I have Marwyn as my commander, who I try to get out on turn 2 because I have 3 dupes of Llanowar elves in this deck, okay? But I also have, like, a bunch of other ones that are, like, you know, produce the amount of mana, you know, one for every elf that you have in play, right? And then I throw cards on top of this, like the Maskwood Nexus, so that the big monsters that I summon with my ridiculous mana are also elves now.
I hate when your big stompy, like, dragons and dinosaurs and shit are just, like, wearing a little elf hat.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, Santa's Workshop is getting really wild this year. Actually, you know? They're employing hydras. Like, welcome, you're technically an elf now. Let's go.
Why weren't you at elf practice?
Exactly. So, like, it produces, like, a ton of mana. That is kind of one of the big things that it does. It's also, you notice, like, because it's mono green, like, which also is a big part of why I wanted to make this deck, because I feel like in Commander, people usually get very playful with colors, and I've always been, like, in love with mono green as a strategy. I just love putting guys onto the field and putting really big guys onto the field.
Well, what if you just put more guys onto the field? No, like lots of guys without paying mana. Yeah, that's really cool.
Okay, I like big guys though. I like hitting them with big guys. And so, like the Devo, with obviously you have to have Nykthos Shrine to Nyx.
Oh yeah, no, that's like it feels like that's kind of an auto include in any monocolor.
Yeah.
That needs mana. Like, as I'll show you later, I don't really need that much mana to make Krenko work.
Yeah, and that is something that this deck definitely needs, because that's why I also have Nyx Lotus, right, and a Karametra's Acolyte, which all basically do the same thing, which is produces the amount of, like, devotion to green in green mana, which can get pretty wild when you start putting, like, a ton of creatures on the board. And so, if you want, we can go through some, like, the key engines that exist in this deck.
Yeah, show me, once you've got all this frickin' mana, what are you gonna do with all this frickin' mana?
Yeah, so what do we do with all this? Like, one of my favorite engines in this deck is actually Primeval Bounty and Garruk's Pack Leader, right? So, Primeval Bounty is really great because, like, if you're producing a lot of mana, one of the things you need to do is you need draw power. Like, mana and draw power are two things that need to go together. If you're ramping and you're not drawing, you're literally just putting that mana into nothing, right? And so it's just completely useless for you to do that and just have, like, a ridiculous amount of mana and nothing to do with it. So you have to draw power. Well, Primeval Bounty is really great because this is a pretty powerful draw power combo, because what you'll see here is, like, whenever you cast a creature spell, put a 3/3 beast token onto the battlefield, And Garruk's Pack Leader, whenever another creature with power 3 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. So if you cast a creature spell, which in this deck most of them are going to be more than 3/3, you draw a card from that creature entering the battlefield. And you get another 3/3, so just from having these 2 cards on the battlefield, you're drawing 2 cards with pretty much every card that you're going to play. Throw on top of that the fact that I've got the Beastmaster, which also allows a draw power for whenever you cast a creature spell. Yeah, the Beast Whisperer, right? And then on top of that, I also have the Leaf Crowned Visionary, right? Which is whenever you cast an elf spell, you may pay 1 green mana and draw a card, which really pops off well with the Maskwood Nexus, because then even if I'm casting like a Hydra, technically I'm casting an elf because the Maskwood Nexus, and so then all of a sudden, like, this will get to the point sometimes where I'm drawing 3 cards for every card that I play, and at least 1 in 3 of these cards is gonna be a creature. So, like, and that's why it's so important to have not just people like Marwyn, but also Nyx Lotus on the battlefield and Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, because basically within the entire deck becomes you playing the strategy of what order do you play your cards in to maximize the amount of mana that you can produce. So, like, if you put down something that has a devotion of 2, that'll increase the amount that Nyx Lotus or Nykthos Shrine to Nyx could produce. Or if you just put down 1 elf, that will increase Marwyn by 1, right? And so, what do you tap first? Do you tap Marwyn first for mana, or do you tap the Lotus or the Shrine first? That becomes like this whole game of what are we tapping first? How many elves can we get in? What's our devotion gonna be? And then just like really trying to get very, very efficient with the order in which you play the cards, which I think is something that's really unique to a deck like this, because in a lot of decks there's not really that much. You don't have to think that much about what the order is.
Unless it's like a Storm deck.
Yeah.
If you're doing Storm, then like, yeah, but in Commander especially, like, this engine in particular needs a very particular order, and I think that's like it's a beast to run.
Yeah. Yeah. But I actually think it's really like approachable for beginners. Like, and so like whenever I teach somebody Magic like for the first time that's new, I like to give them this grain deck to play with, because it is really simple and easy to understand. Put creatures on the battlefield and hit them with big guys. Like,
yeah.
There's a few instants and sorceries. There's not a ton of trickery, so it can be a little bit of math, but it's like simple math. And so I think this deck is one that like the power level of this deck is very directly related to the skill level of the player.
Yeah. No, I've seen it pop in like a lot of people's hands. I've also seen it totally fizzle out because if people aren't paying attention to its order, it's just not going to be running at max efficiency. And if you're not running at max efficiency, you can't stop people from stopping you with this thing. Because if you throw like 1 cog in the machine, or like one little like break a cog in the machine, if you will, like it can crumble pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, because it's got like there's a couple different engines that have to be running at the same time. You have to have a mana engine and you have to have a draw engine running at the same time. And so there are plenty of dupes, right? There are plenty of draw engine cards in here. There are plenty of mana engine cards here. But if you don't play your cards right and get them all on the board in the correct order, then you're going to only have 1 mana engine, or you're only going to have 1 draw engine. And if you only have 1 of those on the field,
you're going to stutter out.
Yeah.
And then I'll kill you with some freaking goblins.
Yeah.
Or toxic. Maybe we'll talk about my toxic deck sometime.
Oh, yes. Oh my god, your toxic deck is like, see, that's one of those things that this deck struggles against sometimes, is like the race, right, to like deal with phyrexian mites faster, and like it becomes like we need to speed this up. That's actually why like recently I revamped this deck and swapped out some like bigger elves with the smaller like Llanowar elves, just so I can get Marwyn down on the board earlier, because playing her turn 2 versus playing turn 3,
it's game changing.
It is game changing.
Like, no, if you're not, I don't know like why you wouldn't want to like just absolutely ramp into your commander constantly.
Yeah.
Like, especially in Green Devo. Like she's a 3-drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could turn 1.
Yeah. One card that I really want to put in this deck to really make it faster is to throw in a Chrome Mox. Like that's a pricey card, so it's like a little bit extra to add. But like throwing down a Llanowar Elves and a Chrome Mox in the same turn, I think would be pretty epic. Like turn 1 play.
Yeah.
And like that would be a lot. But it takes cards, so you'd have to have draw power in your hand in order to like make that worthwhile.
Do you run a Soul Ring in this?
No.
Why don't you run a Soul Ring in this?
Because Soul Ring is too slow. like.
For real?
Like, Soul Ring is too slow. Like, I mean, why would I spend 1 mana when I could, like, put down, like, a Nykthos Shrine to Nyx and just be, like, or, like, have, like, Marwyn. So, like, maybe I could use a Soul Ring, but, like, if I compare, like, a Soul Ring to, like who do I take out? The Princess of Titania, who adds a green for every elf that's in play?
Look, I'm just thinking if you're, like, oops all ramp.
Yeah.
Like, why... Like, why not just commit to the bit and run, like, the commander ramp card?
It just doesn't have Devo. It doesn't have Devo, and it doesn't have enough synergy with all my other ramps. So, like, this is, like,
okay, but, like, what if you need to, like, sack... What if someone's doing, like, permanent sacking shit? And then it's like, oh, I can kill the Soul Ring, I guess.
That's true. That's true.
Like, it's a decent, like, sacrificial card, I feel like. Because, okay... I guess if you put a Soul Ring in this, that's painting an even bigger target on your back.
Yeah.
But there's so much other bullshit going on that, like, you might be able to, like, bluff someone into killing... Like, if someone's doing, like, targeted removal...
Yeah.
And they blow up your Soul Ring, like, that's just funny.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you're down a card, whatever, but, like...
If I'm lucky enough to get him on the battlefield... Fido Titan is my go-to chump blocker, is my go-to sacrifice a creature, it's my go-to, because it just comes back to the battlefield tapped at the beginning of my next turn anyway.
Yeah, it does.
So it's like, okay, I'll sacrifice this.
Yeah, that's why I run a lot of Exile.
Yeah, no, I mean, you need to against this deck, because there's a couple of cards that are like, bringing people back from the graveyard.
Yeah, you don't do a ton of Resurrection.
Yeah, I don't do a ton, but I have just enough so that if one of my important guys goes down,
yeah, I
can bring him back.
Or if you get, like, totally wrathed out.
Yeah. I do have, like, an emergency, like, get the engine back going card, which is, like, if somebody does a board wipe, that can be, like, pretty devastating, right? Because they're going to destroy a lot of engines. Now, luckily, I've got a couple of artifacts in here and, like, enchantments that are, like, really powerful and nice. So it's not the end of the world if there's a complete board wipe. But what I do have in here as my, like, emergency, somebody board wiped, that is Undercity Upheaval.
Now, push that up a little higher?
Yeah, that's Undercity Upheaval, right? Which pairs really well with Marwyn, because after a board wipe, I'm going to have a lot of creatures in the graveyard. Undercity Upheaval, distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard as you cast this spell. Creatures you control gain vigilance until the end of the turn. So, emergency situation, if you put 10 creatures in my graveyard, I'm going to bring back Marwyn, and I'm going to bring back Marwyn as a 10/10.
As a 10/10. Yeah, so that way you're automatically, like, we're back up and running. Like, sorry for the delay, folks.
Yeah.
But, like, no, the big, mean green machine is... I hate this deck so much, it rocks.
I have to show you my favorite win con, though, and I won with this win con the other day.
Do you run Crater Hoof in this?
No, I don't. I don't run Crater Hoof.
You should run the Hoof in this. It's green. Like, he's the big boy.
So, let's look at this, though, right?
Oh.
So, getting Nissa's ultimate to pop, which it's a little hard to read because the text is small here. It's a little hard to read.
Can you read it for us?
You get an emblem with lands you control have indestructible. Search your library for any number of forest cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. Okay, so popping this off when there is a Scoot Swarm on the battlefield, you're talking about like 30 lands here, right? You're talking about, well, maybe 20 lands, right? Because
by this point,
you've played a couple lands, right? So you get 20 lands. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green insect token. If you control 6 or more lands, create a token that's a copy of Scoot Swarm instead. Well, So the thing about Scoot Swarm, if it's a copy of Scoot Swarm, that means that the copies have a devotion, which means that they will increase the amount of like mana that can be produced by Nykthos Shrine to Nyx. If I have a Maskwood Nexus on the battlefield, even better, because then Marwyn's growing and they're all elves, right? And the thing is, if you put 20 lands onto the battlefield all at once with the Scoot Swarm there, you're doubling the number of Scoot Swarms 20 times, right? So it's literally 2 to the power of however many lands you put down. And so 2 to the power of 20, I don't know, do you want to like...
Yeah, you know what, we're gonna live calculate this.
Yeah.
2 to the 20th. Like, oh, where's my calculator?
I think,
a lot.
That's like a million?
It's a million.
It's a million. So, like, let's say you're only putting 16 lands down. Like, that's still, like, a lot. And I remember, like, the other day, I had 64,000 Scoot Swarms on the battlefield. And, like, I had Nykthos Shrine to Nyx and the Nyx Lotus. And so it's like, yes, I can produce 120,000 mana, green mana.
Or you could just hit people with 64,000 Scoot Swarms.
Well, because they do come in with summoning sickness, right?
Well, yeah. So you've got one turn. You've got
one turn with 64,000 mana.
That's the best one-turn clock. It's like, hey, you like bugs?
Yeah. And just in case they have a board wipe, this is why I have the Helix Pinnacle in here, okay? Which has Shroud, right, mind you, so it's very difficult to get rid of. And it's just pay X, put X tower counters on Helix Pinnacle. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 100 or more tower counters on Helix Pinnacle, you win the game. So it's just like, it literally is just like, alright, this is everybody's last turn.
How do you get around that? Like...
I
Annihilator?
Like, I don't, yeah.
Annihilator,
like
forced sack?
Yeah, forced sacrifice is, like, the only way, and, like...
I'm bad at Magic, so...
like, I don't even know, I can't think of any cards off the top of my head that is, like, forced sacrifice target permanent.
I think...
It's like...
There's shit that removes Shroud. Or there's shit that removes Hexproof.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that would...
I don't think that affects Shroud, because Shroud's a completely different
It's a different keyword.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to Google that later.
Yeah.
We're gonna...
So, but that's how rare it is, right? Like, so, like, if Helix Pinnacle's on the board, people probably aren't gonna be able to get rid of it. And this is also another emergency for if the draw engine is broken, you sink all your mana into Helix Pinnacle. You're like, okay, well, I can produce all this extra mana. I'm just gonna funnel it into Helix Pinnacle. I'm not drawing cards right now. Just want to win the game. This is an engine that wins the game. That's what it does. You know.
You know what's a better way to win the game? Aggro.
Oh my god.
Fire in your face.
Yeah.
Stabbing you with goblins.
Oh my god. I do have like an aggro card in here that's really fun.
Oh, you've got which one? This
is one of my favorite win cons actually. Like this is like I think the most basic win con in this deck though. It's the least contrived that requires the least amount of components. It does operate on the assumption that you already have a decent amount of creatures on the battlefield.
But
you will.
Why would you play Finale of Devastation if you don't have it? And it's a creature-friendly deck. You're...
Exactly. So, Finale of Devastation, if you all don't know what it means, what it does, search your library and or graveyard for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less and put it on the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. If X is 10 or more, creatures you control get XX, plus X plus X, and gain haste until the end of turn. Now, Stonehoof Chieftain is really great, because not only is he trample indestructible, but also whenever another creature you control attacks, it gains trample and indestructible until the end of turn.
So then you have a bunch of giant, hasty, trampling indestructibles. Like the one thing is you gotta swing.
Yeah.
You gotta kill everyone right there, because otherwise, like...
Yeah, this is Finale of Devastation. Yeah. This has to be the end.
Yeah,
because this is swing at everybody with like a bunch of creatures that are trample indestructible and have like +10/+10 at least, right? Which should be able to kill most people. If you've got like, I don't know, if you have 4 players, you need no less than 12 creatures on the board to kill all of them if they're max life.
I mean, yeah, but what happens if I just blink them out of existence?
If
I do a little bounce or something.
If you exile like the
phase
whole
out
battlefield or like a phase out or something.
Yeah, I could do something.
I mean, you could phase out Stonehoof Chieftain. They would still have the +10/+10. But actually, this is whenever another creature you control attacks.
Yeah.
So you would have to like it would have to be before they attack. Right? Because like as soon as they attack, they gain indestructible and trample. And
yeah,
so
no,
even
so,
if
I'm not wrathing them.
Yeah,
no, I'm gonna bounce them or something.
But that would be a lot of creatures to try and bounce.
I play blue. I got shit for that.
Are there cards that like just can bounce the whole battlefield?
Yeah. I'll show you a couple of them later.
Yeah.
No, like there's ways around it, but like you gotta. The thing with this deck is I feel like if you're not like aware of everything it can do, there's something. What I love about it is there's so many like. Oh, I planned for big stompies. I'm planning for a Finale of Devastation. I'm planning for a Nykthos. I'm maybe even planning for that guy. I'm not planning for the mana sink that lets you win if you get it to 100.
Yeah.
I'm not planning for you to be able to like play your commander back and get her back up to 10. Like there's so many just little gotchas in it that are so beautiful and lovely and also predicated on being able to play the cards you want, which if I'm playing against it, you won't play the cards you want.
Yeah. No, literally, I will say, like, some of the cards that are really fun, like Elven Chorus in this, where you can cast creatures from the top of your library. I've got a couple of cards that are like that. I also have one that lets you play lands from the top of your library.
Oh my god.
And so it's almost like having an infinite hand size, which when you have infinite mana is, like, pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
It's
it's pretty ridiculous. But I think before we move on to your deck, I have to address one of my favorite cards in this deck because it's so silly. And I love it so much.
This fucker.
I love him.
Fucker.
He's my son. Okay, he's my son. Vigor. Trample. If damage would be dealt to a creature you control other than Vigor, prevent that damage. Put a +1/+1 counter on that creature for each 1 damage prevented this way. When Vigor is put into the graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it into its owner's library. Like, Vigor just keeps coming back, and it keeps saving my guys, and makes my guys bigger, right? And this is a really great solution for people who are playing, like, Infect, right? Or, like, people who are with Death Touch, because, like, Death Touch doesn't hit this. All the damage is prevented, and you get a +1 counter instead, right? And so, like, that is one of the things that's really, really nice about Vigor, where if Vigor is on the board, you have to get rid of Vigor, which is really nice because it operates as both a target and a shield for my other things. It would maybe be a little bit nice to have a card in here that could give Vigor like Hexproof or Shroud or something.
Yeah, just put the fucking like Lightning Greaves in there.
Yeah,
just fuck it.
But I feel like at that point it's like a little bit unnecessary because like
Vigor's the reason I run Farewell and anything with white.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck that thing.
Yeah.
No, kill it with Exile. I don't want that going anywhere.
Yeah. I also say I have to say I love this card. Freyalise Llanowar's Fury. It's like a 5 cost, which is like okay. But the +2 ability being creating a copy
creating a Llanowar.
A Llanowar Elves. You're creating another Llanowar Elves every turn with your +1 ability here. This is just green. This is just a very green card. This is like one of the most green planeswalkers out there. Literally just creates a Llanowar Elves every turn.
That's like a deeply, deeply green card.
Yeah. Like it almost would be worth it to have this as a commander if I didn't have Marwyn, right? If for whatever reason I didn't have Marwyn, like because she can be a commander. It'd be interesting.
It'd be interesting to see how it would run, like same deck, but her. Granted, 5-drop.
It would be slower. I think it would just be slower.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, a 5-drop is honestly pretty slow, but for what she does, it's powerful, right? Her -6 ability is draw a card for each green creature you control, which like sometimes if your draw engines aren't working but you have her on the battlefield, it's worth it just to like sacrifice her and be like, okay, we're gonna draw like 15 cards now. The one thing I will say about this deck, this is a fatal flaw of this deck, so don't tell anybody. The board state always looks scarier than it actually is.
Yeah. Yep.
It always looks scarier than it actually is. There's a lot of mana dorks in here. There's a lot of like little 2/3 elves that are on the field like doing something tricky or fun that are helping me draw cards. Like for like the up until turn 5, most of the creatures on my board are doing some sort of functional mechanic that is useful for me. Now I can afford to block with them, but I can't really afford to attack with them. I'm not really attacking till turn 7 or 8. I'm just getting big and scaring people away from attacking me. And so the people who've played against this deck a lot kind of realize it to be like the meta-defining clock that is, if you don't deal with this by turn 7, the game is over. Because I'm coming in with 64,000 Scoot Swarms or something. But like,
stop calling me out like that. I've built so many decks to this meta that I'm just like, okay, does it kill the elves? That's how I evaluate commanders now. Do I want to play them? Will it kill the elves?
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't even know if Krenko kills the elves. Krenko can kill the elves.
I mean, Krenko hasn't killed the elves since I've improved this.
Yeah,
deck.
but Krenko has killed the elves.
Yeah,
it's been a second since I've run Krenko against it.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you start doubling gobos really fast.
Yeah.
Like,
the funny enchantments that I'll talk about later that make it impossible for anyone to do anything.
So, what do you hate about this deck the most?
That it's green.
That it's green. I mean, this is like, in a way, the most green deck that has ever existed.
I fucking like. Okay, I like big stompies. I love big stompies. I like playing Magic like Pokemon.
Yeah.
You know, Jagalta, I choose you.
Yeah.
But like, you know what's great about green is when you pair it with a different color that isn't white. Fuck green and white. I think I might hate green and white more than just mono green. I mean, but like,
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make the Goose Mother deck.
It's green blue at least.
And I think you're gonna hate that one too.
Yeah. Like no. Let me rephrase this. I only like green if it's paired with black or red.
Yeah.
Or black and red.
Cause like I might make a blue-green mill deck. Like
that's fine.
Where you like every time I draw you like mill. Like I love mill. Mill is such a silly win condition. Like
in Commander, it's insane. I mean, like I've got a mill loop in my ninjutsu deck. That's really funny. But maybe how many decks do we want to talk about on this one?
We can talk about as many as we want. I mean, we definitely have to obviously like go
talk
over
about
Krenko.
my dad. Yeah, but I've got some mill shit in Sapporo. Okay, but let's talk about goblins now. I love green when it's dead. And you know how we get green dead? You kill it with goblins. You kill it with lots of little guys with knives. And so Krenko is kind of like the inverse of, or the way that I've built it is less of a single engine that does one thing really, really well. And it's more, I know that as soon as I play Krenko, I'm the problem because people know that if you let that get out of hand, if you let Krenko just do Krenko things for like 3 turns, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Because I've got chumps for days. I'm playing more goblins.
Yeah.
I'm doing fire in your face shit. So the way that I built Krenko is once he's down, I just try to stop the game from happening as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So we've got things like Planar Chaos, which we live, laugh, love a coin flip card. I love cards that might work.
Yeah.
And Krenko is just might.
Yeah.
But yeah, every turn I gotta flip a coin to see if I get to keep that thing.
Yeah.
And then every time anyone wants to do anything, they need to flip a coin to see if it resolves.
Yeah. That's what I love about the Goblin engine. So like the green engine is literally like it is simple, it is predictable, and it is like this is a Goblin like this is a green engine that does the thing. The Goblin engine really leans into being goblins, and it's like they're definitely being goblins about it. There's like so much chaos and randomness and uncertainty that is like
Likewise.
yeah.
Once I've got Krenko out, so I can drop this at least the turn after Krenko, if not, maybe a few turns later. Basically, whenever I'm content with Krenko being safe, Possibility Storm, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to play this card? What if it's a different card that's kind of like this? And like that could absolutely backfire for me. It's like you want to play a mana dork and instead you drop Vigor.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But that's the fun of it. It's like anything's possible.
Yeah, let me read the text of this actually because like
Yeah,
I really want
Possibility
everybody
Storm.
to like understand what this really does. Whenever a player casts a spell from his or her hand, that player exiles it, then exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a card that shares a card type with it. That player may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then he or she puts all cards exiled with Possibility Storm on the bottom of their library in a random order. So there's a simple strategy if a Possibility Storm is on the field, which is just play your lowest cost whatever.
Yeah, play what you feel like trying to get out. Like, I want a creature. All right, here's a 2-drop guy. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. So with this, I don't think this negatively affects the green deck really in any substantial way.
Yeah, but what if Planar Chaos is there? What if it's both?
What if it's both?
Yeah, because then if I have both of these on the field, you gotta flip a coin to see if you can even cast the thing.
True.
And then, you're right. This doesn't totally shut down the green, but
most decks this will mess up really hard.
Yeah.
Like most decks, green is so simple and predictable that it does one thing, right? It does one thing. But if your deck does more than one thing, I mean, let's say like you're running a control deck and you have lots of blue like instants and sorceries. It matters what instant you're playing. Like if you randomly get a counter spell, what are you even countering?
Yeah.
Like what are you?
Yeah, if you're going for card draw and then.
Or like you accidentally bring a board wipe out.
Which I mean, maybe. God, I have so many cards in here that I'm like, they're fun, they're funny, they make me happy to play. Because that's the other thing is like Goblins. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Probably not winning.
Yeah.
It's Krenko.
Yeah.
I'm the problem.
Yeah.
So I just have guys that are either. They have a good ETB, they're fun to say, or both, in the case of the Shivan Wumpus.
Oh my god, who doesn't love a Wumpus?
I don't know if, anyone runs the Wumpus. Like, this is not a good card, but, it's so fun, early game land hate. When he comes into play, any player can sack a land, and put the Wumpus back on the top of my library. So you can kind of counter him and fuck up my draw a little bit, but welcome to the Wumpus room.
Yeah,
he's just funny. He's a big 6/6 trampler that I can have out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I do wish, honestly, maybe this is just the evilness in me, but, I do wish that it was 1 mana less. I think this is a 3 cost.
A 3-drop would be, that's cruel. A 3-drop 6/6. What is this? A green deck?
I love mana. I love land destruction.
Land
destruction is one of my favorite mechanics in this game.
Yeah, no, our pod definitely runs a lot of land destruction. I think for Commander,
I mean, what deck were you playing the other day? You were playing a red deck. And, I kept pulling a bunch of random land destruction and just destroying. Because you were like, oh, I have 2 lands. That's all I need.
Yeah, I think I was playing Krenko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just, destroyed 2 of your lands. And you were just playing with, no lands the whole time.
Because I'm once I have 4 lands out for Krenko, it's over. I can get an Ashling's Prerogative out, which could fuck up some people's shit. Giving all of my Gobos haste and janking y'all's everything. There's perennials in the deck. my shiny raid bombardment.
Oh yeah, with the Eldraine art too,
Yeah, no,
which is so pretty.
I'm obsessed with. Oh my god,
it's literally so pretty. I love all of the art in that set.
Yeah,
as just a
no,
random aside.
all the Eldraine enchantment, whatever is like they're so like I like kitting out my deck if I can, like making it like cool and fun and whatever. And these are just like they feel good to play.
Yeah.
Likewise, for Krenko, this is a win con maybe sometimes. Impact Tremors.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? Of course, this is a huge win con for Krenko. I mean, literally, like, you could produce like 20 goblins and deal 20 damage. To each opponent.
Yeah, I could.
Right.
And sometimes it's even funnier if those goblins can hit anything they want. With Bedlam, creatures cannot block. Like that, this is maybe the most perfect red enchantment.
Yeah.
Where it's going to backfire on you, it does one thing, and it's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's because this shortens the game like a lot. If you can't block, then all of a sudden you have to attack basically every single turn, and like that just makes the game way shorter.
I have a lot in here, like destructive tampering, that are instants and sorceries based around making it much harder to block my goblins.
Yeah. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the whole board.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't have any flyers in my green deck.
Yeah. Look, that's such an insane card. Like, choose one. Destroy one target artifact, or fuck up everyone's ability to block.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, like, okay, maybe if they're, like, maybe your elf hat making Nexus, whose name I forget.
Yeah.
Maybe. But, like, let's see. Oh, this is I mean, like, granted, I don't have nearly as many funny things to do with all of the mana that I generate, but I technically have a way of turning creatures into mana.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, with the Brightstone Ritual.
Oh, yeah.
Add a red for every goblin I control.
Yeah.
Every goblin in play. So, I mean, if it's a Krenko mirror match...
Yeah. Oh my god.
That could...
A Krenko mirror match would be unhinged to watch. Like, let's be real.
Hey, you want to build a Krenko?
Oh my god.
Do you want to build a Krenko?
Oh my god. If I build a Krenko, it would be... I think I would get real weird with it.
Yeah.
To be honest. Like, I'd do, like, Krenko and dinosaurs or something. Or Krenko and dragons.
I mean, I've thought about... I used to run Krenko with, like, some non-goblin creatures, but, like, the flavor for me, I need almost everything to be a goblin.
Yeah.
Like, I think I've got...
I would run a lot of land destruction. Whenever I play red, I use that as an opportunity to put in every land destruction card I can.
Yeah. Oh, here's another fun win con. Hellion Eruption. Sack all the creatures I control and then put that many 4/4 Hellion creature tokens on the battlefield.
God, that's
so what if I turned all of my little 1/1 goblins
into 4/4s?
Into 4/4s.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no. What else do we have in here? You know, we've got a Rings of Brighthearth, which let me pay 2 and then double Krenko's tap ability. Fun, cute, whatever. Like, especially, like, a turn 3, or, like, 3 turns after Krenko's out, tap, could get very silly if you double it.
I mean, even if it's the first time that you're tapping Krenko, like, let's say you have, maybe 3 goblins on the field, you double that to 6, double that, all of a sudden 12 goblins now. Like,
it's a problem. It's Krenko is about, like, okay, if the Elf Devo deck is about knowing what order to play, like, which specific creature to, like, maximize devotion, I think Krenko is knowing exactly when to declare yourself, like, the capital P problem.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, don't worry, like, look, I'm just a silly little guy, I just have goblins, it's goblins, they're 1/1s, they don't trample, they don't have haste, they come in, like, vomiting, like, come on, they're just goblins.
Yeah.
Like,
It's because it is all about like at what moment in time do you want to have all the attention on you? At what moment in time are you ready for the Eye of Sauron? That is 3 other players all trying to immediately deal with you, like the I see you, like
Yeah, and it's the turn in which I have Goblin War Drums out, which effectively gives all of my creatures menace.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's the turn I have Street Riot out.
You also, I just want to linger on this card for a second. We have to appreciate the joy and silliness of giving 1/1 creatures menace.
It's awesome! It's so annoying! That's so Goblin. Like,
I'm a little guy.
I'm a silly
You
little
both
guy.
have to fight me right now. Like
I'm a little birthday boy.
God,
The thing is, I don't even have, like, it's not even the most optimized Goblin list. Like, I don't have, shit. Who's the little guy, the little indestructible 1/1 Goblin that does, like, it reflects damage back at other things?
Oh, shoot. I don't know.
Oh.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know.
I don't have him. But you know what I do have? A Dictate of the Twin Gods.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Because sometimes, like, the whole, like, Krenko is about finishing really hard, really fast.
Yeah.
Krenko's here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah.
I think the slowest one of those types of cards I've gotten here is Gratuitous Violence. It's just, like, I'm gonna be mean and punch you really hard, constantly. Like, yeah, and other than that, like, there's just some augmented, like, there's fire in your face. There's exactly 1 non-basic land in it.
Yeah.
Which is my very, very, very beautiful Den of the Bugbear.
Yeah.
And that's mostly just because I think it's funny. But, like, it is, I think, likewise, a very, like, easy to learn deck. This is another deck that, like, I've handed this my kid brother. He sat down at a table I was running.
Yeah.
And he wiped the floor with us because, like, it was the 3 of us who were more experienced were, like, really focusing on each other, and he would just, like, play a Goblin for turn, tap Krenko occasionally. Like, he was running it very unoptimized, but by not declaring himself the ultimate enemy, he was able to amass, like, 200 Goblins.
Oh my god.
Without anyone noticing. And because he just, like, he would just, like, it was very kitchen table magic, like, but he was not making it known that he was the problem, and it was just beautiful to watch.
That's amazing. Give me 1 second really quick.
Yeah. Hey, I wonder if we sound better now.
I'm pretty sure that we do sound better now. I feel really guilty about the scuffed audio for the first...
Probably 30 minutes.
Like, 52 minutes.
Yeah, but some of that was, we started rolling before we, like, started rolling.
Yeah.
That was at least 10, 15 minutes, so.
My bad, everyone. My bad. I forgot to add the microphone. We're working with new scenes here that I've built from scratch instead of, like, the other scenes from the other stuff that I do.
Yeah, it's fine. This is our flagship. I spent look, I think there's something diegetically resonant for me to be gushing about Goblins with, like, the crustiest audio.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just all vibes.
Let's hope for me your prose filters are good enough to make it a little less scuffed than I'm pretty sure that it will be.
Yeah. Oh my god. I think I'd like to close this discussion on Krenko.
Yeah.
With just showing off an obvious staple of a Goblin deck, the Goblin Grenade, and this is my favorite art.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least this is my favorite art that I own of the Goblin Grenade. I think that this is...
Oh my god.
Truly the most perfect card. Here's an exploding goblin. Have fun, kids.
Yeah.
Like... Oh my god. I adore cards that necessitate, like sacrifice or the use of, like, creatures as expendable resource rather than, like, a perpetual resource. Like, it allows for faster play, it allows for more aggressive play. It's, again, I like I like being mean.
Do you have a double cast?
In here, I
Yeah.
used to.
A double cast goblin grenade would be funny. Because that's like, it's basically double cast lava axe, but you sack 2
Yeah.
gobos.
Yeah, no. I've got, oh, I might have taken it out. I used to have a display of power in here. That's, I've got a lava axe in here too. But, like, yeah. I should put that back in.
Yeah, yeah. This could definitely use, like, a... Because you've got a bunch of, like, instants and sorceries that do fun little silly things. And that, like... I mean, like,
Yeah, I could double cast a Thunderous Wrath.
yeah.
I love Thunderous Wrath.
I mean, double casting Brightstone Ritual, right? If you really need mana.
Yeah, but, like, the odds of having that much, like fast drop stuff... I mean, yeah, like, I guess double cast Brightstone Ritual to, like, one-shot someone with a Volcanic Geyser.
Oh, yeah.
Or what else could we do? Could double cast a Goblin Barrage.
I mean, I guess it is pretty enchantment heavy as opposed to, like, instant sorcery
Yeah, this
heavy.
isn't... There's fire in your face in here, but it's... I love enchantments. Like, I think they're probably my favorite card type after creatures.
Yeah. Which I feel like people always underestimate the need for enchantment removal. Like,
Yeah.
I do this. I barely put enchantment removal in any of my decks. Like, because most people are thinking that, like, creatures are what you're going to want to most of the time get rid of.
It's
But,
enchantments.
like, yeah, I mean, enchantments are, like, honestly where it's at. There's a lot of enchantments that are just, like, really, really powerful that do a lot of silly things. And, yeah.
Should I, speaking of powerful enchantments, should I get my Toxic deck?
Sure,
Should I be mean?
Why
Should
not?
I be mean? Alright, kids. Alright, kids. Alright, kids. This is my pet deck. If Krenko is, like, my then Rhea Ivor, Bane of Bladehold, is my other dad. And my dad is going to fucking murder you.
Not a joke too. Like, this is a really intense deck. There's like, as somebody who's played against it a bunch, I hate it. Like, literally, if you're gonna play test a deck, don't play test it against this. This is
No, this is the best deck to play test against. If you can beat this in a 1-on-1.
I mean, I guess, yeah, but this is like pretty next level play testing. This is like
I'm just gonna start handing you cards to put under. I also love that almost all of these cards I cracked from packs, so it, like, what is a very expensive thing, or I'm borrowing from you.
yeah.
So
Which I cracked all. Like,
yeah,
my cards.
almost all of these were cracked from packs.
So if you want to help us, you know,
Yeah.
you can always like go to the Throne wish list and buy booster boxes. We love opening booster boxes.
We will probably do live streams of opening booster boxes we need to do live streams of, like, doing sealed and shit.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
I'm just gonna start handing you cards that start mean and get stupid. I might take this out and put this in my ninja deck. I think that's funnier.
Oh
there.
yeah.
Because that's never gonna. I've hard cast that. Okay, so here's a stupid card that I've hard cast exactly once, and the only reason is for this really, really, really funny death trigger combo. If you want to swap out Rhea and put these two out. Where you, in order to like get either of them to be indestructible, or I guess it would, in order to get Mondrak to become indestructible, sacking the Phyrexian Trin to form, as part of the cost, it dies, creating and triggers both Drivnod and Mondrak, creating a bunch of beefy guys, and it's kind of funny, but, like, that's not very good. All things considered. Here, hold on, I'm just gonna... You know what is funny, though?
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god.
White Crater Buff.
Yeah.
The Moonshaker Cavalry, which,
when it ETBs, all of your creatures get +X, where X is the number of creatures you control, plus flying. So in a token generating deck like Mites, all of a sudden I can have a bunch of like, I don't know, +15 flying toxic Mites.
Yeah, no, it's silly. It's silly. Because yeah, you do produce Mites like mad. Like
yeah, so the main. Let's go back to Rhea for a second and just like really, because I feel like I've never run into anyone running her. She doesn't feel like, I don't know, as popular of a commander, because I mean she's very like situationally dependent, and also it's a toxic commander.
Yeah.
Like if Krenko is showing up and declaring herself to be the problem, this is like I'm the Saturday morning cartoon villain.
Like anybody who reads their opponent's commanders will, like, before you even put down your first land, identify you as the problem.
Yeah. Yes.
Like
because it's like Krenko. Okay, you're making goblins. Okay, I can deal with that. You're making Mites. Okay, those are like newer, so maybe I'm not thinking about them, but it's like 1/1 little toxic guys. So her whole thing is whenever you attack, you can choose a creature, negate its damage, and convert that damage into however much damage you would do, like X number of Mites. And that becomes a big fun problem, especially when I've got plenty of ways of, we've got a Skrelv's Hive, which is, I don't know, white bitter blossom, but kind of worse. Creating a little guy every turn. We've also got Skrelv, who can sneak guys around and giving them infect. We've got an infested flesh cutter, which lets me create more Mites every time I swing. Like this, it just gets insane. Oh. And because I do love stopping people from playing Magic if I'm doing a thing. The Phyrexian sensor.
Yeah, see, this right here, the Phyrexian sensor is really infuriating, and it's also one of the reasons why, if you're running any tribal, I a little bit think you should just have a Maskwood Nexus in your tribal, like, because you are going to have some creatures that are outside of your tribal, just because, like, if you want the deck to do the most efficient thing,
I think there's, like...
You're going to have some stuff that's, like, a little outside of it.
Oh, yeah.
And...
I just found one of them. I just found one of the funny guys that I run.
You want this because it makes all your spells Phyrexian too, so you don't have to worry about the Phyrexian sensor as much. But like this, I hate this card. This card is punishment. This card is brutal.
It's so funny. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Literally, this card, more than any other, wants me to run a late line of anticipation, right? So that at very least I can play cards on other people's turns with flash and maximize I can only play one card each turn. Good, cool. I'll play a card on each person's turn, like, because this is brutal. And if you can't read this, each player casts more than one. Each player cannot cast more than one non-Phyrexian spell each turn. Non-Phyrexian creatures enter the battlefield tapped.
Yeah.
This is like silly that it's an uncommon. This is silly that it's a 3 cost.
It rules. Right? I don't know. This is the perfect card.
Like, this card is cruelty. And honestly, I love it. Like, I would maybe want to put this in my sliver deck.
Yeah, right? Oh my god. Or we've got... This is the new one from the Wilds of Eldraine. This is fucked up. This is fucked up. Virtue of Loyalty.
Oh, I love this card. Okay? At the beginning of your end step, put a +1 counter on each creature you control. Untap those creatures.
Yeah, what if we just made them bigger and gave them vigilance every turn? I don't know. I think that's
like... It's beautiful. And it's got an adventure, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the adventure is really simple, which is create a 2/2 knight with vigilance, but like...
Yeah, it's just anticipating it, basically.
This card is a good card to get early in your hand, because you play the adventure, and then you save the card for later when you have more mana. Like, getting a 2/2 on turn 2 with vigilance, that in and of itself is value, right? That's mana value efficiency right there. For 2 costs, getting a 2/2 vigilance... And then later on for 5, a +1 counter on all your creatures. Like this is just objectively a good card.
Here's a good way to kill someone. So all of the mites that are created are artifact creatures. So you can have things that like artifacts matter, artifact love cards, like monumental corruption, where target player draws X cards and loses X life, where X is the number of artifacts you control.
Yeah.
And so you can just drain the crap out of someone.
The only thing I'll say with this is it being a 5 cost.
Oh,
where we're forcing them to draw. This hat would have to be like a close to end game thing.
No, I've only ever used it to kill or hit myself.
Yeah.
Like it's situational. That's the big thing about this deck is it's mean, but it's not like. I feel like it could be so much meaner.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, granted, it could be meaner. Also, I'm looking at, like, the top cards here, and it's like, oh, yeah, farewell, hour. Like, hold on.
Yeah.
Like,
let's...
It could be meaner. I run farewell. I run Hour of Reckoning, which, you know, I try to run as asymmetrically as possible so I can fucking kill people. This is probably my favorite wipe that I've added as of late. Kindred Dominance.
Oh my god, yeah. See, this is another one where having the Maskwood Nexus helps, right?
Yep.
Like...
Yeah, like, I don't know. I just think it's funny. It's the perfect deck. I don't know. Okay, what don't you... How do you feel about playing against this deck?
Playing against this deck, you have to be ready for it. You have to be fast, right? In order to deal with this deck, you have to be fast.
And it's a pretty fast deck, I feel like, too.
It is a really fast deck. I don't know. Like, the one deck that I played against this deck that I think did really well was actually the one that I kind of slapped together. Originally, Sharky was the commander.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because you were able to shut down my bullshit lands.
Yeah, so... but I replaced Sharky with Talion, the Kindly Lord, but it's like, it's a blue-black kind of control deck that also puts down, like, big blue creatures, and if you don't know anything about big blue creatures do really silly things.
If you can,
right?
cheating out big blues is...
Like...
nothing better. Nothing better than cheating out a big blue.
Yeah, because it'll be like, you know... it'll be like casting spells for free, or it will be things like
counter one spell every turn.
Yeah,
like the not the most recent Jin Gitaxis, but the what is it? Is it the Progress Tyrant that does that?
I'm not sure.
One of the Jin Gitaxis is very funny.
Yeah. So that's the play strategy, like playing control, but with the ability to put down creatures that do silly things is going to be really important into like dealing with a deck like this. Especially if you have flyers. Flyers are really helpful in a deck like this, against a deck like this.
Unless I get the Moonshaker Cavalry out.
Yeah. Like, that's why you gotta have your control. And, like, whenever we finish going through this, like, we can go through that blue and black control deck.
Yeah.
I think that, like, it'll provide, like, a little bit of balance to whatever is going on here.
Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, let's go through a whole pod's worth of, or a whole table's worth of decks.
Yeah,
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, like, is there anything else funny in here? Elshnorn.
Oh, yeah, of course, Elshnorn.
Other Elshnorn.
Yeah, you gotta have the mother of machines, okay? You gotta have mom in there, you know?
Phyrexian Unlife.
Oh my god, yeah. Like, this is, when I saw this card, like, when I pulled this, I was, like, immediately like, oh, Bugs is gonna want that.
Bugs,
This is a Bugs card
it's
right
the
here.
perfect Bugs card. I can't die unless you kill me with Toxic.
Yeah. I mean, it does, like, automatically turn damage into toxic damage, but
it's... I there's only one way to kill me, and it's my favorite way to kill you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Also, just another perfect card. The Phyrexian Butcher. Like, he just gasses up your little guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I like that this feels like one of the most, like, contorted twistedy white decks because it's like I run a bunch of anthems, I run a bunch of token Jenny, but like it's not even white weenies because like the mites can't chump.
Yeah.
It's just like it's this evil bastardization of like what that could be.
And like right here, Liz, you've got another instance of giving 1/1's menace.
Yeah. They're 2/2s.
I guess they're 2/2s when this is on
They're
the field.
2/2s.
Well, like it's so silly. It's so silly to
It's
give
perfect.
them menace. It's
Yeah,
like, it's like you've got like a bunch of like big guys and like your 2 big guys have to block 1 mite each.
Okay,
like,
we'll consider this.
All right. When it enters the battlefield,
No, I don't care. Yeah, I can amass orcs.
Oh,
but
creatures you control have death touch.
creature tokens you control have death touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gothmog. Like, I think it's literally him and the Moonshaker Cavalry are the only non-Phyrexian. Oh, I guess I run Moijin of Grim Betrayal because that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Just for, reasons. If I do a board wipe and I wanted to steal things.
You make these like really silly decks, and I'm very here for it.
Thank you. Like, I don't know. I feel like they're silly, but they're not like. I mean, I feel like saying something like this is CEDH, this isn't CEDH, my power level's a 7. Like that's so like table dependent.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're about as mean as they could be, but aren't like they wouldn't do well at like those types of tables because like this is a slow deck. This is a 4-drop commander. It's most of the creatures. I think there's only like 20 creatures in here. I run like I don't know, like it's not nearly as punishing as it could be. I don't run a Soul Ring. I don't think I run like 1 mana rock in this. I think Glistening Sphere is the only mana rock.
Like this deck, as fun as this deck is to play, like it really doesn't stand a chance against the elves, which turns out to be like really fast and
Atlas,
big.
I guess.
Like, but most decks can't really deal with the elves 1-1.
Yeah, because it's commander. You're playing against 4 people ideally.
Yeah.
I mean, like the only way that it can really handle against the elves is like.
Well, if you get the sensor down, then it can.
If I get the sensor down, plus if I start running a bunch of my like targeted exile stuff, like this is a good way to shut up any commander. This is Darksteel Mutation's the perfect way to shut up any commander.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't exile them, it enchants them.
Yeah. And
makes them. Do they get hexproof too, or just indestructible?
Just indestructible.
Yeah. So, like, there's ways of getting around that. But, like, if you're not planning for something like that, or if you don't want to waste it on something like that, like, it's a good way to shut it up. Or, like, planar disruption.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love a planar disruption.
Yeah, it's just, like, you can't do anything. Like, this guy's just here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because originally, like, I built this whole kind of deck for flavor of just, like, wanting to be this, like, invading Phyrexian army.
Yeah.
Like, I love a little flavor. I love to just, like, give a little...
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the nice things about Magic is I think they do pretty well of, like, if you build around flavor, you're gonna get enough synergy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I threw a Rats deck together, the Ratatouille deck.
Yeah.
And, like... It didn't do super well.
But it was fine.
But it was fine. It was very playable, right? Like that like going for flavor is a playable strategy.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing casual.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my god. I'm just thinking flavor thoughts that we should definitely save for a different thing, but just thinking about going for flavor in like a draft setting is some of the most fun you can possibly have.
Yeah,
because it's like this like we're gonna run really optimized But
Okay, it depends on the set you're drafting. Like, I'm not gonna lie, going for flavor in Wild's Drain, I think actually works really well.
I haven't drafted that yet, so
Oh my goodness. You need to, like, okay, somebody buy us a booster box of Wild's Drain so we can draft it, okay?
please. No, I just remember that one time we did that one Lord of the Rings draft where I'm like, yeah, black, white, orc, hobbits, like there was no synergy, but like I almost got Frodo to pilot Grond.
Yeah.
And so, like that's all I need. Like I like flavor and I like when the flavors are fucked. Like I love peanut butter and chocolate, but also like give me an orange juice and toothpaste deck that does something just fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Do you want to grab Sharky? Or...
Oh, yeah, it's not Sharky anymore, it's Talion.
Right.
Because we swapped it, but it's gonna be right behind you, I think.
Let me get these guys out of the way. We'll eventually learn how to do this more streamlined, I promise.
Which one is this? This is the precon, which was a nice precon.
The new Eldraine precon?
Yeah, the one with fairies.
I used that as the basis for my ninjutsu deck. I haven't shown you the ninjutsu deck, did I?
No.
Oh, it's funny. It's basically a mono blue creatures deck.
Nice.
Like, in the whole thing, there's 8 mono black spells and a total of 15 mono black or blue black spells.
All right, so we start off with the commander. Honestly, one of my favorite cards. Like, I love, like, because, like, Wilds of Eldraine, I think, is really fun for commander.
Wilds of Eldraine is, like...
There's so many cool commanders
my
in there.
new favorite... Oh, the most recent set's my new favorite set, but, like, kind of. Like, it's...
They went hard with the art. They went hard with the flair. They went,
every card is exciting.
Yeah.
Every card feels so good to play.
Yeah.
Which I have not been able to say for some of the more recent sets.
Yeah. So, at a baseline, he's a 3/4 flyer, right?
Pretty good.
Which is, like... And it only is a 4 cost, right? A 4 cost, 3/4 flyer. Okay. That's pretty solid. But its ability is really fun. As it enters the battlefield, choose a number between 1 and 10. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with mana value, power, or toughness equal to the chosen number, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card. So it gives you a ton of draw power. And it does require a little bit knowing the play strategies of the people that you're playing with.
Or you could just pick 3.
Like, I kind of pick 2 a lot.
2, yeah.
I end up picking 2 a lot.
2 or 3. Like... Because there's going to be 2 in one of those.
Yeah. So it really depends. Like, especially like goblins, I would probably pick 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what it does, like, in terms of, like, okay, so we've got this guy. You've got a ton of basically control spells, right? Like your typical kind of, like, you know, kill spells. You've got a bunch of you've got a bunch of random, like, you know, destruction and stuff. Destroy target land.
Fucking breach.
Okay, here, yeah. So let's get into the fun stuff, though. Let's get into the really fun stuff of, like, what really is this deck about?
Show me the big stupid blue guys in this.
Yeah. Let's pull out the really big silly blue guys, right?
Oh, I need to put one. I've got one of him. I'm gonna put one of him.
Oh, it's got a Ristic Study, of course.
Of course it does. Didn't we originally get that for the Slivers deck?
We did. It, but, like, it made more sense in this deck. And okay, I do have to show my favorite card, though. But before we get into everything else here, I have to show my favorite card that's in this because it's brutal.
Oh my god!
As Foretold. If you get As Foretold in your first hand, as long as you have enough lands, you play that hand, no matter what. Because, literally, the beginning of your upkeep, put a time counter on As Foretold. Once each turn, you may pay 0, rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you cast with mana value X or less, where X is the number of time counters on As Foretold. Every single turn, you get to cast a spell for free. By the time this hits 2 or 3, that means your counter spells become free. And you can do that once
it's mana value X or less. Oh, Oh. Oh. Yo.
So not only are you punishing people for casting spells, but you can start countering their spells for free. Like, and then the reason why you want to slow everybody down is so you can start putting down really big guys. And
Wait, do you have to hard cast all of them though?
What do you mean?
Do you pay full mana for some of these guys?
Not if As We're Told has gone that far.
That's fair.
Right.
Okay, so we can maybe start cheating them out.
We do hard cast a lot of these spells because, like, you know, you just, like, there's not a lot of ramp in here and there's not a lot of, like, cheating guys out. Stormtide Leviathan. Okay. I love a Stormtide Leviathan. This shuts down so much, right? This shuts down the goblins. It shuts down the mites. It literally...
It's perfect. That's a good boy. That is a good boy right there.
This is what a blue creature is supposed to do.
I've got one of those that I didn't put in my ninjutsu deck. Imagine paying 4 for that.
Yeah, no, literally.
Imagine flipping that into something.
Yeah. So,
oh my god.
Island Walk, all lands are islands in addition to their other types. Creatures without flying or Island Walk can't attack. This is like, and that's where I like blue creatures, I think, are underplayed as like a strategy because they just are silly guys that do silly things, right? You know, Soulblade Djinn, classic, flying. Whenever you cast non-creature spell, creatures get +1 until the end of turn. Whenever you cast a non-legendary creature spell with flying, you may copy it, except the copy is a 1/1 spirit in addition to its other types. Do this only once each turn. That pairs really great with things like this, where you're like doubling the effects that they do, and it just becomes this silly thing.
Oh, so this is like kind of a pseudo-sphinx deck, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or like, I guess Chimera, but like...
Yeah, Prescient Chimera, whenever you cast instant or sorcery, is scry 1, which is like a really useful, like, there's a ton of scrying in this deck that happens.
Well, yeah, it's a blue deck.
Yeah, it's literally scrying and drawing.
Oh.
Djinn of Wishes, right? We love Djinn of Wishes. Remove a wish counter. Reveal the top card of your library. You may play that card without paying its mana cost if you don't exile it. Literally, this is... You scry, you find your big guys, and you cheat out your big guys for 4. Like, that's kind of like the vibe with Djinn of Wishes. So there's a little bit of cheating out.
Yeah.
And then I do like some silly things. Defiler of Dreams. Okay, who doesn't love Defiler of Dreams?
Oh gosh,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Gosh,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah. It's really, really great. And whenever you cast a blue permanent spell, you draw a card.
Good.
Here we go. Shadow of the Enemy. Exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard. You may cast spells from among those cards as long as they remain exiled, and mana of any type can be spent to cast them. So, this is one of my favorite mechanics in Magic the Gathering, which is called playing other people's cards. Like,
I love playing other people's cards.
It's so fun.
The best.
It's literally so... I want a Chaos Wand. This deck needs a Chaos Wand. Like,
oh my god,
I want like 6 Chaos Wands because it's one of my favorite cards. I mean, pay 3 to get an instant or sorcery from somebody else's deck. Like, that's just fun.
That's up there with Breach the Multiverse.
Oh, yeah.
Which of course you run.
Speaking of, yeah, there is a Breach the Multiverse in here because, of course, who doesn't like playing other people's cards?
Like, I love playing everyone's cards at once.
Yeah, literally. It's truly beautiful. We all love it. Let's see if I can find some of the other like big guys that this does. Oh yeah, you gotta have this.
Hey.
Aether Spouts, right?
Given that it's a blue deck, you know what you should put in there just because it's fun?
Yeah.
Shark Typhoon.
Oh yeah, that would be really fun.
Like, cause you got a bunch of big frickin' blue non-creature spells as well.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, pair that with As Foretold. You know, get a little more bang for your buck, get a big shark.
Yeah.
Get a big shark. We love a big shark. Big flying shark.
So check this out, right? The Witch King of Angmar. Okay? Whenever one or more creatures deal combat damage you, each opponent sacrifices a creature that dealt combat damage to you this turn, and then the ring tempts you, right? And then if you discard a card, the Witch King gains indestructible. So it's got like a little like, I'm gonna discard a card, you know, save myself from the board wipe type situation. This is very good.
That's mean.
I
love it.
It's really mean. It forces people to get rid of their attackers. I also really this isn't like the most powerful card in the world, but it is one of my favorites. Raven's Crime. Raven's Crime is great because you can cast it like as many times as you want, right? It's got retrace. Yep. It's a 1 cost, right? Yeah. It's a 1 cost, discard a card, retrace. If you're drawing a ton of cards and you have way more lands in your hand than you know what to do with, you just get rid of those lands and you get rid of their hand. Like, it's beautiful.
Nothing better. Nothing better than playing all of the Magic. Yeah. Well, no one else gets to.
Yeah, so this doesn't have a ton of creatures, but it's very much focused on how do we stop them from playing, right? How do we get things in with Flash?
And there's enough good, funny, there's enough big guys that, like, there are win conditions. Like, eventually the Leviathan will kill people.
Yeah. No, literally.
Or your commander will just drain enough people.
Yeah, and so it's very much like control. There's a lot of, like, discard here. You know what I need to put in this deck? I need to put in a Waste Not.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Because there's a lot of discard in this deck.
Yeah.
I really love discard as a strategy. Yeah. It's really fun. That's why, like, when I used to play Modern a bunch, I played the Rack. Yeah. And so, like, I don't know, I have this fantasy of eventually building a commander deck that is basically, like, a combination of Stasis and the Rack. Like...
You love discard. I love discard.
Yeah.
I love discard.
Yeah. Yeah. Discard.
No, but, like, oh my god, doing Rack shit's fucked up.
It's so fun. Yeah. Like, and in Commander, there's, like, multiple different types of racks that you can run that are, like, really fun. And so...
Okay, what if you, like, ran a Commander with big tits? For your rack deck?
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, who, like, Liliana?
Yeah, wait.
But there's no blue in that.
Yeah.
And if I was doing Stasis as well, I would want to do blue.
Comment down below, who's the biggest blue-black, like, what commander is blue-black, or at least blue-black? Maybe some of the vampires.
What about blue-black-white? Is there anything like that?
Gandalf with big naturals? No, Saruman. There's a Saruman. We could get Saruman with big naturals.
Just, like, draw them.
Yeah. Yeah, oh my god. Actually, yeah, I don't remember everything he does, but that might be really funny for this. Maybe we'll brew that. Maybe we'll do a live collab brew.
I think that'd be fun.
Should we do stuff like that? Like collaboratively brewing decks together, like,
of course.
On a stream?
I was very much hoping that we would do that sometimes, because I've got a couple of decks that I really want to workshop. Like, I really need to workshop the Ariette deck.
Yeah.
I really need to... I've got a bunch of decks that I'm kind of, like, working on that I need to, like, actually sit down and, like, finish workshopping. I really want to build the Goose Mother.
Oh, right? Yeah, that's gonna be nice.
Like, I feel like that one's got a lot of potential. The only struggle with the Goose Mother is it's gonna, like, it requires a lot of the same cards that my green deck has.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take apart my baby.
No, or buying dupes of some of those.
Like, buying dupes of some of those is difficult. Like,
yeah, like, your green deck's so expensive.
It is. It's like a $300 or $400 deck, which, like, you know... And I think that's one thing that we should do is, like, start putting out our deck lists so that the people can see, like, the decks that we're working with.
And also, you know, you know what I really want to work on is my budget Massacre Girl deck. Yeah. Because I think that, like, I think I can get it to, like, an unholy place and the whole thing's under $50. Yeah. I think I can make it or the whole thing costs $60 and 40 of that's a Meathook Massacre.
Yeah.
But if anyone wants to
which, by the way, we should put together a wish list specifically for the show.
Yeah, we should. And a Patreon.
Yes.
We should put together a Patreon. But I think that about wraps it up for this inaugural My Dad Can Beat Up Your Dad.
Yeah, no, I think we nailed it. I think we hit all the bases. I think you know, like you all are gonna definitely want to tune into more of these because we've got so much stuff to talk about. Like, and there's so many different things, and like
not only do we want to talk about our decks and what we're build, but like our like philosophies surrounding the game, what we like, different things that we like about the game, different just gushing about cards of every color. I'll talk about green cards that I actually like. There's 2 off the top of my head that I fucking adore.
Yeah.
When I run them in things that don't really focus on green.
Yeah, because we've got a couple of episodes already planned out that are really exciting. Like the pet card episode is gonna be really fun. The pet card's
gonna be so cute.
The like philosophy of like, you know, what does playing like what does your play style say about you?
Yeah, I know exactly what your play style says about you.
That one's gonna be really fun.
Yeah, or just you know, talking about news in Magic the Gathering, how to play Magic the Gathering for cheap, how to build a deck.
Yeah.
Like, just, you know, kind of why we play.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I love that we've just kept this big stupid fish on the side of the screen the entire time. He's oh my god, we need to do a Dan episode.
Oh my god, yeah.
You've played Dan, right?
Once.
We gotta play more Dan.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah. I think ending with this on the screen is actually really great because then we can finish off by saying that my dad can beat up your dad.
My Dan can beat up your Dan.